Welcome back to Foot in Mouth. It's Champions League week. Peak football is back, and that means Man United fans all around the world are settling in for some hate watches. And to be fair, they're going to be spoiled for choice. There's some big games this week, and two of the biggest happening tonight at the exact same time, unfortunately. But we got Liverpool versus Real Madrid, biggest on the game on the card, and then we also have PSG versus Bayern Munich. So that's four potential favorites for the competition playing against each other. It's gonna make for some interesting movement on the log in the Champions League group, the league phase so far. But I think it also does open up the door for Arsenal to take advantage and lock down that first place spot. They've done it in the Premier League. Can they do it in the Champions League as well? It would be big. But yeah, there's some tricky games for the English clubs in general tonight that we're going to get into in this episode. But we have to start with Liverpool versus Real Madrid. The narrative around this fixture is one that everybody knows. It's two of the biggest clubs in this competition going head to head. Whenever it happens, it's genuinely a spectacle. It's the biggest game of the competition whenever we get to see it. And yeah, I think that it's kind of the ante. We've upped the ante now with the spectacle of Trent Alexander-Arnold making his return to Anfield. Xabi Alonso also making his return to Anfield as a manager of Real Madrid now. It's going to be tense. I think the environment is going to be very tense at Anfield. Trent Alexander-Arnold probably going to get booed, if we're being honest. Are you going to be booing from home if you're a Liverpool fan watching this game? Are you going to be booing Trent? Obviously, I understand why there would be boos. It'll still be disappointing to hear, but I get it. You know, he was an absolute fan favorite from the academy, made a move to your biggest European rivals, and yeah, it stung. It still probably does still sting. And I think, you know, it's touch and go for him to start tonight, I guess, if that helps. Xabi Alonso has kind of hinted that he will start. He hasn't played the last two games because of a hamstring injury. But, you know, whether he starts or not, just seeing him in a Real Madrid kit, I think is gonna start some boos around the stadium. Xabi Alonso, I think the fans will definitely be a lot more welcoming to him. He is obviously a club legend for both Liverpool and Real Madrid. So I don't think fans will mind too much seeing him there. But one thing is for certain, both Alonso and Trent Alexander-Arnold know a lot about Liverpool. They know the ins and outs of that place from a club level overall and also from a tactical level. Trent Alexander-Arnold did play a season under Slot, so I feel that does give Real Madrid a big advantage tonight. You know, Xabi Alonso also was the coach of Florian Wirtz, so he knows his particular weaknesses. Not that the rest of the Premier League hasn't already figured it out, but more than anybody else, you know, you can bet that Alonso will have Florian Wirtz figured out. And Liverpool are going to need him tonight. They're going to need big performances from all of their players. It's going to be the biggest test that Slot's faced all season. But both sides coming to this game with injuries that keep things interesting, both defensively, really. Real Madrid are going to be without Alaba. They've got no Rudiger, and they also have no Danny Carvajal still. Liverpool side, they got no Alisson, they got no Frimpong, and they got no Alexander Isak, which doesn't help much. But that being said, even when Isak plays, it doesn't help much. So I guess Liverpool doesn't make a difference there, really. It's all to play for. Real Madrid have a 100% win record so far. They're going to want to keep that intact. Liverpool just getting out of a terrible run of form that they're going to want to keep going. So, you know, they're playing at home. All the pressure is on Liverpool tonight, I think. And we can definitely expect Slot to play more of the same style of football we've seen so far. Even in their bad run of form, he is still very insistent on that high line play, which makes sense. That's how he set his team up to play. So probably going to see more of that tonight as the home team. I think there is opportunity for Liverpool to take advantage of Real Madrid defensively. I think Mo Salah, after his 250th goal for Liverpool, that could be a big moment for him. It could spur him on to want to, you know, score more goals. They could do with that. Maybe that goal woke him up a little bit. But I think a game like this in general is exactly what's needed to wake up the likes of Mo Salah and Virgil van Dijk. You know, I think something like muscle memory is probably going to kick in. You hear the Champions League music. You see the Real Madrid players in front of you. You're just going to focus in. I think that Mo Salah and Virgil van Dijk, it's a derby. It's absolutely a European derby. So I think that you could see the best from them tonight. And again, Liverpool are going to need the best from them tonight. But yeah, Mo Salah, he's going to be a problem. I think Cody Gakpo can be controlled. That's the only downside really for Liverpool going forward. I think Florian Wirtz, again, Alonso knows the ins and outs of this player, so he'll coach his defenders as best he can. But I think that at a European level, I think Wirtz can still have some joy here. We saw him have a lot of joy out against Frankfurt, so I don't expect the same level of joy against Madrid, but it definitely won't be as tough as it's been for him in the Premier League, I feel. But in that midfield, that's where it gets tricky. I think that Real Madrid win the overall midfield battle, because while we know what Liverpool players are capable of doing on paper, and we've seen it with our eyes before, they have not looked the best lately. Meanwhile, Real Madrid, you know, Jude Bellingham is back. I think Jude Bellingham is hitting a real hot streak at the moment. And For that reason, I think Real Madrid are going to absolutely control this game. They're going to play a slow, cool, calm, collected, possession-based style of football. They're going to soak up the pressure that Liverpool throw at them, and they're going to bide their time, take their chances, and Mbappe goal, Vinny Jr. goal, Jude Bellingham goal. I think Liverpool are going to get hit with quick goals. Once that first one goes in by Real Madrid, the rest are going to flow quickly, and then I think Alonso is just going to lock it down. But yeah, I think, look, Liverpool obviously have a chance. They are at Anfield. I'm not saying that they're out of this. I just think that Real Madrid are Real Madrid. And I think that Mbappe has been in serious form. He's got 21 goals, 4 assists in his last 17 games. So no matter how good Van Dijk is going to be, I think that Mbappe is still going to have some joy tonight. And yeah, I just think that Liverpool defensively are not going to cope. They are going to get cooked by Real Madrid's front line. I genuinely believe that. I could, of course, be wrong. It's football. It's Liverpool. Liverpool are made for the Champions League. They know how to get wins here. But then again, so are Real Madrid. I just think that all the momentum, all the advantages fall with Real Madrid. The only thing that's going in Liverpool's favor tonight really is that home advantage. But we've seen what Real Madrid are capable of on their day. And a game like this, they're going to put on the show. So I am predicting a Real Madrid win tonight, and I'm going to say 2-1 to Real Madrid. Let me know what you think. How do you think Liverpool are going to cope with Trent Alexander-Arnold on the pitch? Are the players going to get in their heads about it? Are they going to have a little bit of a grudge towards him? You know how the fans feel about him, but how do the players feel about Trent Alexander-Arnold? I'm sure some of them are still friends with him. So could be very weird, like a glitch in the matrix for them to play against him tonight. Could that be a factor in what the result is? I don't know yet, but I would assume to some degree, yes, you know. But yeah, let me know what you think about this one. What is your prediction for Liverpool versus Real Madrid? And what is Slot's best plan of action? Honestly, as far as I'm concerned, you got to keep going at it the way you've been going at it, bro. High line and all, attack, and just hope that Virgil van Dijk can keep a level head and steady the ship at the back there. I think that is going to be absolutely key if Liverpool are going to get anything out of this game. Arsenal have a lot more luck with this fixture. On paper, it's Slavia Prague away, but where they don't have any luck is with injuries, because we are 7 injuries strong now. Victor Gyökeres being the latest of them. I said in yesterday's episode, I was hoping that it was just a slight knock and it'd be available for tonight's game, but he has been ruled out with a muscular problem, which means that Arsenal, all 3 of their strikers are injured. It just goes to show that you can plan as much as you want with squad depth, but it doesn't matter very much when your depth itself is getting injured. Same thing happened to us last season, 27 injuries. This season, already 7 injuries deep. Not great. We also got Martin Zubimendi, who is suspended for this game, which does put a lot of question marks over how Arteta lines up. Declan Rice is 1 yellow card away from being suspended. And if he is suspended, that means he misses the Bayern Munich game. So a lot of decisions that Arteta has to make tonight, not easy ones. And I'm just hopeful that whatever he does decide, it results in us getting a win. Naturally, that defensive record is at jeopardy. Every Arsenal fan wants to see us keep going with the clean sheets. I think tonight, you know what, maybe let's say that this is a bit of a free hit if we do concede 1 or 2. There's no Kepa, he's also out. Yeah, that's another injury on the list. But David Raya in goal, I'd expect him to keep a clean sheet against Slavia Prague, all due respect to them. But I think there is going to have to be a lot of defensive rotation. There's going to have to be a lot of rotation. We've seen players like Gabriel and William Saliba already miss games because of injuries. We've got an international break coming up soon after the Sunderland game this weekend, so there is going to be chance for proper rest. But I think tonight in particular, this is one of those games where you can't really risk a Declan Rice suspension going into a Bayern Munich game. No matter who else is fit, you need Declan Rice in your team for that game. And you also can't risk any unnecessary injuries to our defensive line. So I think that tonight it would be decent enough to start Hincapié and Mosquera as the centre-back duo. I think the 2 of them have shown more than enough to warrant a start against a club like Slavia Prague. I think that if you can perform against Crystal Palace, you can perform against most clubs in Europe, to be honest. And I think that, yeah, at fullback, Ben White has to come into the team. Julian Timber does not need this game. He's played a lot of football. He plays very high energy football. And I think at left back, give Miles Lewis-Kelly another game. We saw how he performed in our last Champions League fixture. It was a great performance against Atletico Madrid. I think that he can absolutely handle whatever Slavia Prague throw at us on the wings. But yeah, it's not going to be an easy game, especially having to dance around the injuries and the possible suspensions of players. And that Victor Gyökeres situation does make nonsense up top, bro. How do we line up? Can I have to put Mikel Merino up top, but ideally you would have wanted to see him in that holding midfield position. But I trust Christian Norgard, and I think that he should get more minutes. He's only going to get better with more minutes, so I'd be happy to see him in midfield. But yeah, lots of rotation questions for Mikel Arteta to consider here. Iberiche Eze also played a lot of football lately. He could do it the rest himself. Bukayo Saka is probably going to start. We know Arteta in the Champions League. And it makes sense because this is still very much a must-win game for Arsenal. Let's not kid ourselves. Even though it is a lesser team and they do have a terrible record so far. I think they haven't got a win in the Champions League in the last 14 games. So all the advantage falls with Arsenal. But I think that's also what makes this game one of those banana peel type of games where you could very easily just slip up and be that club that a team in terrible form has a good game against. And at the ratings are going for Arsenal so far, it's one of those situations where I'm almost like, everything is going too well for us at the moment and I'm just waiting for that slip up. I shouldn't put this out in the air, and I wish that I could take back what I just said, but I can't. So yeah, I think that Arsenal, with all of the considerations to take into account tonight, the injury records, and it does help that it's just Sunderland this week. I say it's just Sunderland. We saw what they did last night, securing a point against Everton to stay very much in the top half of the Premier League. They are going to be a test, but I think we are still in a good position here. Slavia Prague, we could have had a much more difficult team to play against tonight. I think that with Bayern Munich on the horizon, just play tonight safe. I would take a very, very humble, low-scoring win tonight. And that's, I think, exactly what's going to happen. I'm predicting an Arsenal 1-0 win. I would like to predict more, but I think once we get that first goal, we're just going to play a professional, disciplined game. No one's going to try anything fancy. We're going to keep the energy levels as low as possible just to secure the 3 points and move on to the final Premier League weekend before the next international break. I'm predicting a 1-0 win for Arsenal with 100% record intact. Let me know what you think for this one. What would you do in midfield with that Declan Rice situation, with that Zubamendi situation? What would you do up top with the Gyökeres situation? Let me know all in the comments below. Man City played Dortmund. It's a return for Erling Haaland, at the club where he hit that form that made Manchester City spend big bucks on him, which, still thinking back, is probably in the last 15 years, it's probably the best value for money any football club has ever done. But yeah, it is a return for him. I'm sure it could be emotional on his side, but it'll still also be business as usual for Manchester City. I think they're very much back. I said as much in yesterday's episode after their big win over the weekend against Aston Villa. I think they are back. I think Erling Haaland's form is scary. I spoke about Mbappe's form earlier on. It kind of doesn't hold a candle to what Erling Haaland's doing at the moment. Haaland on 26 goals, 3 assists, and he's only needed 1 penalty to get there, as opposed to Mbappe's 7, and even Harry Kane's 7 penalties so far this season. But yeah, in 17 games, Erling Haaland is a machine. And I think that he's going to show his former club exactly what they've been missing since he left. Manchester City obviously aren't the finished article at the moment, but they are still good enough to get a win against Dortmund, home or away here. And I think that, playing away in Germany can be tricky. I think that Man City do have players that are well equipped for it though. So all due respect to Dortmund, I think this is going to be a Man City 3-1 win. Newcastle have a tricky game against Athletic. I think this is going to be one where Newcastle are going to have to flex physically, excuse the pun, but I just mean they're going to have to really assert their dominance physically in this game, because Athletic got some very technically gifted players. I think they'll be able to pass around the Newcastle team easily enough and open up a lot of goal scoring opportunities. But if Newcastle can impose themselves, they can slow that process down a little bit, do a little bit of a smash and grab win. I don't think it'll be exactly that, but I think Newcastle, they need to take advantage of their physicality in this fixture if they're going to have any joy here. And I do think that they'll be able to Newcastle form has been very terrible. So yeah, I'm going to check myself. Rather than go the Newcastle win here, I think this will be a draw. Not a draw that Eddie Howe needs nor wants, but I think it's going to be a draw here, 1-1. Tottenham are away to Copenhagen. They need a win. Every episode, I feel like I'm saying that just when things start to get a little bit brighter for them, something happens and it's doom and gloom again. The latest of which being a loss to Chelsea, an embarrassing loss to Chelsea. So they need a win. And again, I'm saying they need a performance. Not just a win, they need a performance. It's going to be interesting to see how they line up after what happened with Jed Spence and Mickey van der Ven on the touchline with Thomas Frank. I wouldn't blame him if he drops them from the team. I think they deserve it. But you also can't really afford to. They are needed in this team right now. So not a good time to be Thomas Frank. Not a good time to be Spurs going into this fixture. I think Copenhagen can be tough away. And I think with Spurs in the headspace they're currently in, they're probably not the best suited to go out there and dominate the game and win. But they will try to. We'll see the classic Bentancur and Paulinho midfield, which I think makes sense in a game like this. But yeah, it doesn't really threaten much going forward. So going to be tricky for Spurs. I do still think that they are going to be able to sneak a win here. And I'm going to go with the Spurs 2-1 win. And then Chelsea are away to Qarabag. I think on paper, again, the nicest fixture of the lot for English clubs tonight. And this week rather. And yeah, I think that, they're not the most difficult team, but this is another banana peel kind of game. Chelsea will be tempted to do some rotation. Why not take the chance while you can? All due respect to Qarabag, they aren't exactly heavy hitters here, so you'd expect some rotation on Chelsea's part. But I think because of that rotation, you could see a club like Qarabag take advantage of it. They got nothing to prove here. They got nothing to lose. They can just go out and play their game. They are at home also, so there's a lot of pride on the line, and I think they'll throw everything at Chelsea. So could be risky to rotate too much, but Chelsea, with their injury situation currently, can't really afford to overplay players at the moment, even though there is international break coming up. They've also got Premier League fixtures to keep in mind. So I think Chelsea are going to rotate. Qarabag are going to go in for the kill. And I hope the Qarabag can somehow pull it off. But I feel like I'd be foolish to not back Chelsea in this one. I'm going to say Chelsea 2-1 win. Yeah, the other really big fixture to talk about naturally is PSG vs Bayern Munich. I brought up the goal scoring records of Mbappe and Erling Haaland. Harry Kane, of course, in the conversation. 25 goals and 3 assists in 18 games. This guy is just on a roll. Bayern Munich are on a roll. Unbeaten, not conceding goals. It's going to be a real test for PSG, and it's going to be a game of the ages, bruh. I can't wait to see these two play against each other. And again, it's going to suck switching between the Liverpool game and this game, but you kind of have to do it considering the caliber of football that that's going to be on display tonight. But yeah, this is a massive one. Let me know how you think this one's going to go. I think that Bayern Munich very much favorites for the competition, especially considering their form. They're the only other club aside from Arsenal defensively that are doing that well. So PSG going to have their work cut out for them to score. But one thing we know about PSG is that they can find a way to punish the best of the best. But yeah, let me know your predictions for the games that we spoke about today, even if games that we haven't spoken about. Let me know in the comments below your predictions for these games. Let me know what you think in particular about that Liverpool game. What is going to happen with Trent Alexander-Arnold? Thank you as always for watching the video. Do give it a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'll catch you in the next one.